Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating study that tackles a huge question: what actually determines how long people in a country live? And let me tell you, the answer isn't just about money or hospitals. The data points to a handful of specific things that are way more powerful than you'd probably guess.
Okay, so let's jump right in. At the heart of all this is a massive global puzzle. A question that really gets to the core of inequality around the world. Just think about that number for a second. 37 years. That's not some small statistical blip. That is an entire lifetime for a lot of people. So researchers looked at data from 183 different countries to figure out one thing. Why? Why is there such a dramatic gap?
And here it is. You can see it right here. It's just staggering. On one end of the spectrum, you've got countries where the average person only lives to be 51, and on the other end, 88. So what on earth could be responsible for a gap that massive? Is it all about money? Is it hospitals? Or is there something else going on entirely?
Well, to find out, a major study basically treated this whole problem like a global detective case. They pulled together all this data from those 183 countries and just started hunting for clues.
So the investigation started with a really wide net, right? They looked at dozens of potential factors. And you can pretty much lump them into two main groups of suspects. You've got your socio-economic clues on one side, things like how much schooling does the average person get? How wealthy is the country? And then on the other side, you have the public health clues. What are the big health challenges a country is dealing with?
But, this is where the detective work gets super tricky, because none of these clues just exist by themselves. They're all tangled up together, which makes it incredibly difficult to figure out which ones are the real causes.
And this really gets to the heart of the challenge. So for example, richer countries, they tend to have better schools, and people with better education often have better health. So which is it? Is it the money making the difference, or is it the schooling? How do you possibly separate one from the other? Well, that is exactly the job of the statistical model they used. Its whole purpose is to untangle that web and find what truly matters on its own.
So what they did was use this really powerful method it's basically like an elimination round for data. You start with all the possible factors thrown into one big model. And then, one by one, the model kicks out the weakest link, the clue that adds the least new information. And it keeps doing that until only the strongest, most significant predictors are left standing.
So, after this whole intense elimination process, what clues actually made the cut? All right, let's get to the big reveal. It all came down to just 7 things. Out of all the dozens of possibilities they started with, these 7 were the ones that really mattered. And the researchers put them into 2 simple buckets: things that act as longevity boosters and things that are longevity burdens.
Okay, so on the positive side, the 2 boosters were education and wealth. But here's the thing, they are not equal. Education is an absolute powerhouse. The data shows that for every single extra year of average schooling a country has, its life expectancy goes up by over 8 months. That is huge. And it makes sense, right? Education gives you the tools to make healthier choices, understand doctors, get a better job. Wealth, or GDP, also helps, but it kind of has diminishing returns, meaning once a country gets reasonably wealthy, just adding more money doesn't give you that same big boost to longevity.
Now let's look at the other side of the equation, the 5 burdens. The single biggest drag on life expectancy? The adult mortality rate. That's basically the odds of someone dying between 15 and 60. After that, you've got the death rate from HIV, and then childhood malnutrition. Next up are gaps in just basic public health, like not having widespread polio immunizations. And then there's this last one that's kind of surprising. Even after you account for all these other things, just being classified as a developing country comes with its own penalty of about 1.5 years.
So, at the end of this incredible detective story, what's the big picture? What's the main takeaway from all this?
Okay, so how much of the global story do these 7 factors actually tell? Get this, a stunning amount. Together, those 2 boosters and 5 burdens, they explain 87.15% of the difference in life expectancy across the entire planet. That is an incredibly powerful finding that leaves very little up to chance.
And here you have it, the final verdict from our global investigation, all laid out. It's basically a blueprint for what makes a nation live longer. On one side, you've got the 5 burdens that drag life down. On the other, the 2 boosters that lift it up. The really important thing here is just how clear and specific these factors are.
And this quote from the study's lead researcher really nails it. The evidence points to 2 really clear, powerful places to make a change. First, tackle the health problems that kill adults when they should be in the prime of their lives, and second, invest big in education.
And that really brings us to our final provocative thought. The data is pretty clear that the impact of education on how long we live is incredibly direct and powerful. So it leaves us with a really important question, not just for policymakers, but for all of us. When it comes to helping everyone live longer, healthier lives, where should we really be focusing our energy? The answer might just be in the classroom.